Hey guys, welcome to my Worldbuilding channel. So my first video was a little story told by the peoples of the northern swamps describing the shape of the world. I originally intended to just open with a description of the geography, but as soon as I wrote the sentence, "The world is shaped like a bowl," I immediately decided it would be more interesting to tell it as a story told by the ancestors of the rising sun people, since pottery is big in their culture. But now I want to actually explain the geography of my world. As stated already, the world is shaped like a bowl. The perimeter is ringed with mountains, while the center is lower in elevation, causing rivers to all flow inward, leading to a large inland sea in the center of the world. There isn't actually a hole though, that is just a way of explaining why the world doesn't fill up without understanding evaporation and the water cycle. There are two prevailing wind patterns. First, winds tend to blow outward. It's kind of like an atmospheric donut, with winds all blowing outward from the center, rising as they hit mountains and dumping rain in the process, then blowing back inwards to sink to the inland sea. This results in a very humid climate with lots and lots of rain. But I rapidly realized that a strict donut-shaped world is actually kind of boring, so I introduced a temperature gradient. I placed the cold pole to the south and the warm pole to the north. Now, wind currents tend to move from cold to hot because hot air rises, creating a vacuum for colder air to fill. This in turn creates a vacuum in the cold region, which is filled by the air from the hot region. So there is also a prevailing wind blowing south to north. Combining the donut-shaped winds and the south-north winds, we get extra strong winds in the north and weak winds in the south. Since precipitation comes from wind hitting the mountains and rising, this means the north is a lot wetter than the rest of the world, while the south is a lot drier. To oversimplify, this produces three main climate zones: a subtropical/tropical swamp, a humid, warm temperate/subtropical river valley, and a temperate steppe. Here's how they're arranged on the world map. Also, since this world is not a planet and doesn't orbit, they don't have seasons. But they still need a way to keep track of time that's longer than a day. To do this, I introduced cycles. The trees in the north die off every 30-ish years, kind of like bamboo. The rivers in the west and east flood annually, and the steppes have sheep that have been bred to shed 3 to 4 times a year and reproduce once every 1 to 2 years. My world building focuses on 2 different time periods. Initially, I wanted to focus exclusively on a Chalcolithic, that's Copper Age, world based on tech levels from roughly 3000 BCE, 5,000 years ago, with a mix of agrarian and hunter-gatherer societies. But at a certain point, I decided I also wanted to world build classical antiquity, which is roughly around 500 CE. For my first videos, I want to focus on the Chalcolithic era, but later on I'll start touching on the classical era. There are 3 main ethnic groups in this world, those being the rising sun people, the standing water people, and the grass seeker people. These are frankly just terms I made up for ease of reference, so these aren't necessarily what they call themselves. Let me know which culture you want to know about next time.